Welcome to SEC Plus. Gary Laney of Advanced Digital with, to my left, Mike Herndon of AL.com, and to my right, James Smith of NOLA.com, two recruiting writers. And if you thought we took an early look at the 2015 draft on Tuesday, today we're going to take an even earlier look because we're going to talk about the recruiting class of 2014 and where they might be positioned when their draft number comes up. And guys, I think when we start talking about this, we need to sort of project what's going to be valued. I mean, I don't know if 10 years ago you'd be talking about a draft without a running back in the first round. Now that seems to be the reality. And you know, NFL teams tend to jump on the bandwagon of what's valued and what's not. Where do you guys, and I'll go to you first, Mike, where do you guys see the trend going on what's going to be valued by the time these guys get around to that 2017 draft or whenever their eligibility is up?
Well, I don't think this is a fluke. I think this is the modern NFL now where it's such a meat grinder for running back. They're injured so frequently, and most NFL teams use more than one. They use two or three, that I think the position has essentially been devalued a bit in the draft. And I think it's really going to be the rare prospect, a guy like Adrian Peterson, that goes in the first round anymore.
Well, what positions do you see being valued in 2017? Continuing to be corners, receivers, blockers, rushers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're turning back the clock, so to speak. I think it's a passing league in the NFL. I think left tackles are a premium, cornerbacks are a premium, wide receivers are a premium. Certainly, we saw that in this draft, although it was admittedly a deep year for corners and wide receivers. Pass rushers are always going to be at a premium. I think those guys, that's the positions you're going to look at first in the NFL draft.
Jimmy, looking at that, I mean, do you agree with that? And taking off of that, who do you see in this class coming in that's going to be, do you think is going to be the most ready to go at the end of a 3-year cycle?
I mean, with the way the game's going today, the spread offenses, pass rushers are becoming ever more prevalent as the top needs for teams. Anytime you have an elite level quarterback, he could sneak into that top pick. You didn't see any elite level quarterbacks this year. That's why they kind of slid a little bit. Blake Bortles went in the 3rd pick. But if you had that elite for it at the number 1 spot, you could see him go off the board. But I really think pass rushers are going to remain a priority as teams go to the passing game more and more now. You know, and whether it's a stand-up guy in a 3-4 system or a defensive end with his hand in the dirt, if they can get and push the pocket and really collapse the pocket on the quarterback, the value is going to be high. And just going off of that, a couple guys that I see in the SEC that bring that skill set. Myles Garrett at Texas A&M, you know, a phenomenal athlete. I got to see him all week at the Under Armour All-American game. Just an explosive first step, really powerful, uses his hands well, and he's every bit of 6'4". I expect him to have a real impact early on in his career, and he could be one of those guys because of the needs at Texas A&M. One of the focal points of their defense very early on. So I could easily see him being a 3-and-out guy going high off the board in the NFL draft. And another guy that really is probably a stand-up linebacker that's going to play in a 3-4 system but can really get after, just Rashaan Evans over at Alabama. Pressure the quarterback, and he can run really well. Would probably lead my early charge for guys that could come in and grab that one of those top draft pick spots. And if you were to go to quarterback, possibly Brandon Harris in Baton Rouge. The kid has all the tools. Cam Cameron's tutelage, under Cam Cameron's tutelage, and he could earn the starting spot for LSU. Those are 3 names that I'd watch out for moving forward.
Mike, when you look at Alabama, you got some guys there coming in also that can block the edge and cover wide receivers, guys that could potentially go high. Talk about that.
Well, certainly Cameron Robinson was a 5-star guy coming in. Projects to be a left tackle, if not this year, within the next couple of years at Alabama. Is fighting for that position this year and could be the guy as a true freshman. I mean, I think I could certainly see him as a guy that could leave early, 3 years and out, and be a first-round draft pick in 3 years. And then they brought in 2 5-star corners this year, both of whom ought to play a lot, possibly even start. Tony Brown, Marlon Humphrey, both of them are 6 foot track guys. They have the speed and the size that NFL teams like. They go and have a good career at Alabama. You can certainly see them leaving early and going high as well.
Well, we talked about the trend away from running backs in the NFL. That the trend has also been there for the evaluation of high school recruits. Leonard Fournette being the number 1 player in the country this year playing running back really bucks the trend. Running backs have had a hard time getting that highly rated for the same reason, I think. Is he going to be good enough? Does he have that Adrian Peterson kind of ability that can make him possibly be, a first-round pick in a couple of years and break that trend that we're seeing? Go to you first, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, you see the slide with running backs year after year now. This year we had 2 in the second round, Jeremy Hill and Carlos Hyde, who were probably first-round talents 3 or 4 years ago, But I think Leonard brings something a little different, though, much like Adrian Peterson. He's a guy that could really pound it between the tackles, much like Hyde and Hill, but he's got home run speed. And that's the difference here. If either one of those guys would be able to run a 4.4 type 40, you'd have seen them go in the first round. On offense, it's not about moving the chains 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust. That's no longer the game we see in the NFL. But I think somebody like Leonard Fournette, who has that home run type speed and can also do it between the tackles and is a heck of a receiver out of the backfield, I could easily see him going in the first half of the first round and be one of those rarities that does so in the next few years.
Mike, what do you think? And also, there are some other guys like a Rock Thomas that could maybe sneak in there as well.
Certainly, and Rock's got a lot of ability. But speaking about Fournette, I agree. I think he's that rare kind of talent with his combination of size and speed that could go, could buck the trend and be a first-round running back. I think it's a rare talent like that it's going to take. And I think really the key for him, along with showing us on the college level, and proving, living up to his potential, is going to be staying healthy and proving he can do that over the long term and remain durable because, as I said before, it's such a meat grinder in the NFL. Staying on the field's half the battle.
All right, there you have it. More talent coming into the SEC, and this is probably the earliest look you'll find at where they might end up in the NFL draft. So for James and Mike, I'm Gary. We'll see you guys next time.